Welcome back, guys. Welcome back to Strip by Sia. I am recording this in November, but it is January 2020. Can't believe we're fucking here. This is so fucking cool. I am so excited to bring on this next guest. I'm almost excited. But we have the wonderful and amazing Naomi Vice on the show today. Hello.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so excited that you're here. I've been speaking off the record. Earlier, I was saying I've been such a fan for a long time. One, you're an amazing dancer, amazing performer. You're Filipino like me.
Yay! Filipino pride.
Well, it's just cool because it's just nice to look up to someone that looks like you, and to have someone to look up to and have a role model, right? And there's a lot of us in the industry, at least not here in Vancouver. So, but we will be talking about race. We're going to talk about fetishization today. We're talking about creepy photographers. We're talking about dancing. We're going to be talking about a lot of things today. We're going to be covering a lot of topics, but I'm rambling a lot. So let's get talking to you. Let's introduce you. Who are you? Tell us your story. I want to know everything about you.
You want to know everything? It might take a while.
Me along, I'm so guys.
No, thank you. I'm really, honestly, everything you're saying already, I'm so overwhelmed. I'm just so flattered.
Yay.
My name is Naomi Vice. That is my name right now.
Did you want to talk about your old name?
Yeah, I've gone by different names. Mm-hmm. When I first started in the industry, I went by Rocket Ray, and I pretty much just started this switch over. I've been dancing for maybe 4.5. Almost 5 years now.
Oh wow, it's been that long. Oh,
yeah, I don't know. Wow. It doesn't seem that long, but I just I started dancing after I went to music school. I was studying in LA.
Oh,
and
what the fuck? Cool.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh my
talk about this. You asked me.
Yeah.
So
please say everything. I want to know your whole story, as does the audience as well. So music school.
Yeah, I went to school for singing down in California. I lived there for a few years, and I kind of failed miserably at being an artist. I thought I was going to be a pop star and be super famous, but it didn't really turn out that way. It's tough, trying to make a living in music, and right. I was young and it didn't really work out, so I moved to Vancouver. I was okay, I'll just do music on the side and just get whatever job. But as everybody pretty much knows, it's hard to get by in Vancouver.
Expensive.
It's expensive, so I was hey, I don't know what to do. Maybe I'll just be a stripper. Fuck it.
You can
swear. I'm
look in your face. It's oh my god.
Oh god.
You could definitely swear in this podcast.
Okay.
Encouraged.
Okay, I swear often. Yeah, so I just decided to be a stripper, and that was kind of an excuse to get away from the pressures of having to be an artist and having to prove myself and having to put myself out there. I was you know what, I'll just dance naked. How hard could it be?
It can be kind of hard sometimes when you're starting out.
So it just slowly turned into more and more of a creative outlet for me. It was a way for me to make money, but you can't, if you have the creative bug in you, you can't really keep it down. So I started getting involved in different stuff. I started getting into burlesque. I started singing and traveling and just doing stuff that I'd never really done before. And I had a lot of help. And, I got to know a lot of awesome dancers. Just learned a lot, and it really just realized that I have to be a creative person, and I decided to use this platform of dancing to express myself.
Right.
So I traveled on the circuit for a few years and had a bunch of cool experiences, but I just got a little bit burnt out. Mm-hmm. After a little bit. Yeah,
because it's okay, so 4 years. That's quite a timeline too. So how did you have any training before, or are you just I don't know what I'm doing, I'm just gonna try this out? Because you obviously have a very artistic background, with singing, obviously very, very artistic. Dance, obviously, is very, very artistic as well. But did you have any kind of movement background? Did you do ballet or anything like that? Gymnastics? Or is this all self-taught? Or you just like learn from other dancers? Or what's your training like?
I grew up dancing like ballet and jazz and doing like musical theater and singing.
Filipino, so.
Yeah. Filipino, so it's like all...
Dancing, singing.
Yeah, it's like
There's
all...
some basketball in there.
Maybe. I wasn't that great at basketball,
No,
but
neither.
I would have... I tried. I did like a lot of performing arts, but honestly, like when I first started stripping, I don't think I was like that great of a dancer. Like I moved really fast, and it wasn't until I started really training pole and really, training with other dancers on the circuit and getting into Pilates and doing yoga and different kind of stuff that I really started to refine what I'm doing. And that's still something that I'm working on right now.
Right, and it's always constantly like, something that you would be working on. At least for me too, it's just like, well, I want to be cross training, I want to be like, going to classes, I want to be able to be like more in tune with my body and just being body aware, I guess. So, yeah, so when you started, you had no fucking idea. Do you remember the first time you danced? Like,
oh god, yeah,
how did that
I do.
work? Did you audition for a club or anything like that, or?
Okay, the first time I got naked on stage was at this amateur contest at the Astoria. It's called Rent Check.
Oh yeah, Rent Check, dude. Yeah. Okay.
So that was my first time. I danced to a Brooke Candy song.
Cool.
And I just like flailed around and like showed my pussy.
Guys, if you don't know what Rent Check is, as Naomi said, I think it's like every last Wednesday of the month or something like that at the Astoria, and it's basically a stripping contest, amateur stripping contest, and you win $500. I'm not sure what the money is now, but that is not enough to cover rent in the city.
Yeah, I really... It probably started a few years ago or something when that was actually like the
relevant. So you're doing Rent Check then, and how just showing your vagina and flailing around.
I don't know. I just had this idea. I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna win Rent Check. I'm gonna win $500. I'm like, I'm such a star, and I just flailed around and did not win, did not place, and I was like, okay. And I was so nervous. I was like, I remember like downing a beer like right before I went on stage.
Oh my God.
I was like, what am I doing? But I'm glad I just got it out of my system.
Totally.
And I had some friends watching me, and they were like, oh, you did such a good job, which I don't think I did, but thanks, friends. And then from there, I was like, okay, cool, whatever, I did it. Then I did the Penthouse amateur competition.
Oh yeah, yes. I've done many of those. Penthouse is great. Every last Thursday, guys. Sponsor us.
Sponsor us, Penthouse.
Lots of love for Penthouse here. And then that's a bit different than Rent Check, obviously.
Yeah, like Rent Check is like and everybody can kind of go, and it's very accepting of, there's like all different genders, all different body types. It's like, it's cool. It's a diverse crowd, and it's for fun. It's not to become a stripper.
Right.
The Penthouse one is for becoming a stripper. Like,
this is the main difference, guys.
Yeah.
In case you guys are interested in trying out.
And that's at a real strip club, where people work. So I got to see some stage dancers do pole on the spin pole, and I was like, okay, cool. I saw some shows. I saw how people were tipping on stage. I was like, okay, this is kind of more what it would be like to be a stripper. And then from there, I was offered a job on the circuit.
Nice.
And I started to do my thing and kept flailing for a few months and stumbled through it, and then, I don't know, just somehow ended up here.
There we go. And at that point, did you already decide on your initial name, Rocket Ray, or did you go through a couple name changes before even at that time, or how did you land on that persona?
Well, I used to have another, like, I'm an artist, so I'm kind of dramatic. I used to have another nickname. It was Jet Nova. I wanted to, I wanted to release music under that name, but I never ended up doing it because just like stripping and life got in the way. So I was like, what can be the counterpart to jet? I know, rockets.
That makes sense. There we go.
So I was like, okay, cool. Like there wasn't really a method to it, but it kind of developed into this like spacey, like ethereal persona eventually, which was cool. It's just, I don't know. I just changed my name again. I just felt like I was heading in a different direction, and I don't feel like I'm really like a space alien anymore.
That's like more like when you started, and now, as again, like you're just continually transforming, I guess, into different personas.
Yeah, I just felt like I needed to pick a name that was like a real name. Like Rocket is kind of an. I like to have that Rocket Ray persona, but it's kind of annoying when you're at the club trying to sell dances and people are like, what's your name? And they're like, you're like, Rocket, and they're like, that's not your name. And I'm just like, okay, like no one's name is their real name. Yeah. So I had been kind of shying away from doing stage for a little bit to focus on acting and different kind of stuff. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to change my name to something that people can kind of understand. And I don't know, it's been almost 4 or 5 years now since I started. So I'm not the same.
That's natural.
I don't flail as much.
No, you gracefully flail now.
I gracefully flail.
Would you say that your past personas are different than what you present in, say, like real life, like right now? They're different personalities, because I know sometimes some people on the show, for example, like Radio Soleil, she's very like shy and timid. At least when I first met her many, many years ago. And then now whenever she goes on stage, she's just an enigma.
Yeah.
Yeah, like do you find that there's a bit of a contrast between your in real life muggle personality and like your stage personality? Or are they becoming one and the same?
I think they're more similar now. Mm-hmm. I think Rocket Ray was like, I was doing a lot of burlesque, I was involved in different scenes. Like I still plan to do that stuff, but I just felt like I was like building up this image of like this ethereal performer that was like super magic from outer space. But the real me, like who I am, is like a very shy person.
Okay, guys, so we just met like, what, half an hour ago? I was like, oh my god, you're so cute. And I thought, like, from what I thought you'd be this like crazy person. I know. And you're so just like cute, and I'm just like, and almost like timid, and I'm like, this is like not what I expected. But it's so great because like obviously like your character really shines. Even on your Instagram and whatnot. It's, yeah, as I said, like a bit of a 180 almost for your, like, normal life personality.
I'm a human. Like, I go through all these things and, like, sometimes it's ugly. Like, I have emotions, I have feelings that I don't necessarily want to put out there all the time, especially being a public figure and, you know, having your name out there and putting yourself out there as an artist. There's, like, a lot of pressure on you, and we all have to wear a mask sometimes.
Absolutely.
That's what I believe. And I think right now Naomi Vice is like it's me, but it's a better version.
What do you mean by better version, though?
I don't know. She just, she's not insecure. She's a lot more confident. She's like I think of Naomi as my higher self, just like someone who embraces who she is and is kind of a badass. And she's like the version of me that I strive to be, really.
That's amazing. I think that's such a beautiful story to tell. I can't wait to see it on stage.
We'll see. I'm still a baby. I'm just like being reborn right now. So.
Reincarnated.
Yeah.
Phoenix coming out of the ashes.
We'll see what happens.
So, okay, a couple things you mentioned there. So you mentioned you were dabbling in a bit of acting and you were dabbling in a bit of burlesque. Were those things you were always doing before, or is that something that you kind of just got introduced to and wanted to kind of try out? Or how did you get involved with that? With both?
With both? Well, burlesque, I was kind of introduced to it a few years ago. Mm-hmm. And I'm not super, like, I wouldn't even classify myself as a burlesque performer, but I think that studying burlesque and being around burlesque performers and going to shows and just experiencing different mediums, it really showed me a new way of performing and a new style of performing. So
totally, it's such a different way of stripping. how I used to say it when I was younger was like, burlesque is classy stripping. I don't know why I used to say that. I was like a teenager.
Yeah, I know. I used to say that too.
Classy stripping. But the movement is so different. Just like, you know, the taking off of the glove and like the caressing of like the bra strap. It's very almost like delicate.
Yeah, I'm really lucky. I got to study and work with some of the greats in the city, and you know,
so many great.
There's really a lot of talent, and I learned a lot. I really did. I still wouldn't necessarily say that like Naomi Vice is a burlesque performer because I'm not really. You know, I just want to honor like the people who are putting in the work, who are really like going after regular performances as burlesque artists. I'm more of like a stripper hybrid artist person,
but it's good to cross-train though, and you know.
Yeah, for sure, and I do want to be more involved in the burlesque community. Like I've been involved in like some really cool productions.
That's awesome.
And I've gotten to sing, I've gotten to play with live music and just do different stuff, and that's been really cool. Mm-hmm. I started training my acting maybe 2 years ago.
Oh, okay, sweet.
I'm still starting out in the film industry, and I just go under my real name, Felicia. I'm saying that here. I don't know, but it's been cool. I'm just starting out. I'm doing a lot of background work. I'm meeting new people, networking, studying acting, and taking lots of acting classes has also really opened up a lot of things, like emotionally for me.
Oh, okay.
And it's just really gotten me to be more introspective and look at these certain parts of myself. For me, like singing, dancing, acting, movement, like all this stuff is like one thing for me.
It's all intertwined. Right?
Yeah.
They're all related. There's movement, there's emotion, there's a lot of things that kind of fall into each other with those types of mediums, right?
Yeah. So that's why right now on my Instagram it's like Felicia, aka Naomi Vice, because I just want to be a little bit more open with who I am and what I'm doing and like the various facets of what I'm doing. Like I'm very proud to be a stripper. And I'm definitely, like, not ashamed, but it's not all that I am.
Right.
There's, like, a lot to what I'm doing. Also, with Instagram, it's kind of difficult to... I know what people do, but it's difficult to market yourself as a stripper because of, like, all these... stupid laws that are going, like, with censorship and stuff. Yes. So I just decided, like, there are people who know me as Felicia, like, the actor... Mm-hmm. Is trying to get into film, and there are people who know me as, I guess now, Naomi Vice the stripper. But for me, it's like all one thing: singing, acting, dancing, movement, everything. Just being creative. It's all one thing.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that too. I think it's really refreshing to see more dancers kind of being more open that way, because you don't really find a lot of people doing that. They just have their stage name projecting. Which is fine, and it's also protective of your identity and stuff. Yeah, too. But I'm the same way. I use my real name. I use my stage name. People never know what my real name is. People call me Kim. People call me Sia. I'm like, my real name is Steph, guys. My real name is Steph. But Sia has a ring to it, so and a lot of people just call me by my last name. But I think it's cool to just that you can really just take ownership of that. I think that's super admirable. With your acting, and I guess with a couple of things that have come out within the past couple of years, did that kind of lend to your recent hiatus from dancing, or how, like, why did you decide to take a break?
Yeah, I think there's several reasons, but I think acting was like a big catalyst for me. I was really enjoying training. I was taking a lot of classes, a lot of workshops, I was meeting new people, and I was like, you know what, I want to be in Vancouver. I want to have roots here. I want to work on projects. I want to delve more into the film industry. It's really hard to do when you're on the circuit. Yeah. So I was like, okay, I want to freelance. Like, I want to just sell VIPs. Maybe I don't want to go by Rocket. I want to book more private parties.
Right.
Maybe I don't want, like, for private parties, it's different from stage dancing. I feel like Rocket is like a stage name. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, doing some different stuff. I also, like, had a couple breakups.
All the things.
All the things. So, like, just some stuff in my personal life. And it kind of rocked me.
Was this all within the past year, then?
This is, like, within, like, the past few months. Like,
oh, my God.
That's kind of why, like, I'm re-emerging now. It's, like, I don't know.
That's a lot.
It's been stressful, I'm not going to lie. But I just... I feel like I've made some changes in my personal life, and I'm making changes in my professional life too, with like the different things that I'm doing. So I just felt like I needed to make a change and adopt a new name, a new persona, a new way of thinking, and we'll see how it goes, right? Like I'm just starting, but I feel good. I feel a lot better. I feel like I'm more myself.
That's good. Were you not yourself before? Or were there some things that were plaguing you before, whether or not it was in the industry, or was it mostly personal? Or
yeah, I mean, it's like a combination of a lot of things, but I just felt really pressured. Like, I feel like people had this image of like what Rocket Ray was supposed to be and like what I'm supposed to do and how to present myself. And I was in my old relationship still, like no shade or anything, but I just felt like I was kind of doing my life to please other people,
but not doing things for yourself.
Yeah, and even like that was in my personal life, and that was also in my professional life. Like I was like, okay, what do clubs want? You know, what kind of music do they want me to dance to? What kind of things do I need to have in my show? Like, do I need to like do this type of competition? Do I need to like, you know, just like different stuff? I'm like, what do people want? What do people want? It's not like I want to quit doing all the stuff I was doing before. I just needed some time to like process it and make it into something that was my own and not
dictated by everyone else around you.
Yeah.
So when did you come into this realization? This was within the past few months as well.
This was in August. Like I know the month that it happened.
We're at the end of summer.
It was like, I don't know, in the summer I was working on the circuit and I was having a really great time. I had some good gigs, I made some good money, and then I was like, you know what, I'm tired of being on the circuit. I really want to just do other things that are, you know, that really make me happy. And then I was like, okay, I'll take a break from circuit for a bit. And then I just like broke up with my boyfriend and and I just like never returned. Like some bookings like fell through and I was God. Okay, I guess I'm not booking right now. And I just been freelancing and working in film and doing this and that. But I miss the stage.
It's good to also take a break too, especially if you're going through a lot of shit. I feel like sometimes when you're dancing on stage and there's other things in your mind, it can be kind of dangerous. That's how injuries happen. That's what happened to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I feel like you're speaking for person.
Yep. Injuries happen, or you make dumb decisions and stuff like that. Sometimes it's just best to just like take a step back and just kind of look at the bigger picture and then see what you need to do to kind of better yourself and better your life.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I don't know. Like, I know it's not the same for everybody, but I just found that I was trying to, like, keep up this image of, like, who I was supposed to be. And there was, like, a lot of pressure. And that's kind of the same pressure that I felt when I came back from LA, when I was, like, trying to be a musician superstar. I was like, oh, I'm going to be a pop star. I have to, like, do this and this and this. And stripping, same thing. Like, we create these personas. We're just like, okay, like, Rocket Ray is like this. You just have to keep it up. It was just too much pressure for me. And with all this stuff going on in my personal life, I was just like, you know what? I just need to take a break. I just did everything that I needed to do. I started going to therapy.
Good. Therapy is so underrated.
It was really, it's been awesome. I started trying new things. I started exploring, you know, how to make decisions on my own as an adult. Like I was...
Adulting.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Like you can't really be on all the time.
No, and there's no guidebook for life, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really hard. So were some of these pressures, I guess, what's the word, self-produced? That's not the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean, though. Like, did I put pressure on myself?
Yeah, but I know, like, there's a lot of external pressures, too, about how, like, the club wants you and, like, what people want you to be and whatnot. But, like, depending on your personality, you could also create those pressures on yourself, too, which can add to stress and your anxiety and everything, too. So, for some of those...
Yeah, I think, like, not gonna lie. Like, you know, this is just my journey, but it's not like everyone feels like this. Like, I'm sure a lot of dancers think like, oh, you know what, there's no difference between like my stripper persona and my real persona. Like I'm sure some people are like that, but I don't know. I've always kind of been really hard on myself, and that's something that I'm trying to step out of. And I've always just wanted to like make other people happy. And you know, like if we want to get into like some psychology talk, like it's like that people pleasing thing. Like totally. that's just my natural tendency. And I kind of just realized that, and I didn't want it anymore. So I was like, okay, no.
Rejecting it.
But
I wonder if like some of that is like a cultural thing too. Is it, you know, obviously because we're Asian, there's just so many pressures coming from Asian parents, you know, like them wanting us to be and fit into this box, even though that's drastically different from what I want or from what you want. Like it's tricky growing up Asian.
It's really, yeah. I mean,
did you grow up in LA?
No, I grew up in Victoria.
Oh, okay. In BC.
Yeah, I grew up in BC. I just went to school down in LA.
In LA, okay.
Just didn't want to take you through like my whole childhood and stuff, but yeah, I'm from Victoria. Yeah, I am lucky that my mom is like, well, not super like, you know, she's been more it's hard, you know, to accept that your daughter is a stripper.
So she knows.
But she both of my parents know now.
Oh, wow. Oh my god, how was that? Oh my god, that's so scary. Ah!
Are you really kidding me?
Like getting anxiety.
Vicarious anxiety.
Oh
I know there are a lot of cultural barriers. Like, I grew up Catholic. This is not really what... you too. It's not what we're supposed to do.
Yeah, no, it's the opposite. God is not happy with us. We're going to hell.
But on that note, like, speaking of God, though, it's like, on one hand, being told that, like, oh, sexuality is bad. On the other hand, being told, like, God wants you to use your talents. God wants you to use your gifts. And I've just always gone for what I felt was what I'm supposed to do. It is hard. There's, like, lots of pressures. I don't know. I always tell my mom, I'm like, if you really didn't want me to be a stripper, then why did you put me in musical theater and dance? And singing. You know, like, why'd you put me in dance class? Like, they always cast me as the stripper and, like, the musicals and stuff.
How did your parents find out? Did you outright tell them and be honest with them? Or did they find out in another way? Or how did that unfold?
Well, I told my mom basically, like, right before I did the rent check competition. I was like, I'm going to be a stripper. And she was like, no. And I was like, no. I'm going to. And she was like, okay.
So dramatic.
She really didn't want me to, but I was like, I'm not asking permission. I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
My dad's, like, a bit more of a hard ass. So he didn't find out until like 2 years in.
Whoa.
When I had an injury, and he saw some of my stripper promo. He was like taking care of me.
Oh my god.
I had like a really bad injury and I was going through a super tough time, and he saw like some like my promo and like my costumes and stuff, and he was like,
what is this?
He was like, you're a sex worker. And I was like, yeah, actually that's the proper terminology.
Oh
so God. He's like a little more traditional, like Filipino. Like he was like, why don't you be a nurse?
Oh my God.
I was like, Dad, I get to smoke weed and dance to Led Zeppelin. Like, why? I have a sweet life. My dad's like a huge rocker, so.
Oh wow.
I don't know. It wasn't easy. Like, he's a lot more traditional, but he's still not, super happy with what I'm doing. But at least I'm at a point where I can be honest. And it feels really good.
Wow, that is so big of you. Holy shit. I've never gone to my parents and outright said I was a stripper. Just can't. Like, I know my dad knows, because I remember, like, for my birthday last year, he kind of had to talk to me. He was, like, kind of drunk. He was like, whatever it is that you do, like, just know that I'm proud of you.
Aw, that's so cute.
Whatever it is that you do. And I was like, okay. And then my mom, oh my god, just had so many close conversations, and I want to tell her, but I just, like, don't know how to word it correctly. But there is no correct wording, and she would just die, because she's, like, hardcore Filipino, like, Catholic, goes to church, like, every fucking day, like...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's another topic.
Well, it's different for different people, like...
Totally.
I kind of knew that, like, how my mom was, so I felt comfortable telling her. My dad just, like, found out.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't have told him if he didn't. Like, he would still think I work at Brown's Social House. Like, I told him I was a waitress. He's like, you lied to me for 2 years. So I was like, what am I supposed to do, though? And, like, you know what? People, you just have to kind of meet them where they're at. So I never, like, hold it against, like, I'm all about, like, oh, sex worker visibility, but I never, like, hold it against people, like, if they don't want to, like, be open about their profession, whether it's to their family or, like, to the public, like, that's a personal choice, and it's different for everybody. For
sure. And that's another reason why I don't really want to tell my mom, because she wouldn't want to hear about it anyway, so I'm not going to shove that down her throat, just like how I ask her to not shove down God down my throat, so.
Yeah. Boundaries.
Boundaries, right?
It's healthy. It's really good.
But I guess since we're on like the race topic too, as we kind of mentioned earlier in the podcast, there aren't many of us. I was like literally counting out, well, it's just me and you for Filipino dancers basically. And then for other Asians, there's like 3. 3 other ones maybe 4 now, but we're definitely a minority in this industry, especially here in Vancouver, which is weird because there's lots of Asian people in Vancouver.
Yeah, I mean, I know that there are. I just remember that Maya Banks is half Filipino.
Oh, dang,
she's half Filipino. I know. Yeah, she's awesome. She's a good friend of mine.
There we go.
And I know there are some dancers. My good friend Angelique at Penthouse, she's a VIP dancer. She's Filipino.
Oh yeah, I know.
You know her,
yeah. Girl, you got the podcast.
Yeah, I love her. But you're right. Like, it is weird sometimes.
Weird, but kind of exciting. Like, I was like, oh my god, it's like another Asian dancer! Yay, represent!
I know. I'm happy to meet you. I'm happy that like we're Filipino. We can be Filipino together, but
Filipino together.
It's cool, but yeah, like it's interesting being an Asian dancer. Like, there's a lot of racism in society, and the strip club is not an exception. Yeah,
definitely. And there's a lot of weird people that just have crazy yellow fever, and it freaks me out. So if you guys don't know what yellow fever is, it's like basically fetishizing Asian people, and I don't like that. It makes me really uncomfortable. I think it's really disturbing. I encountered that not a lot in my stripping days, but more, I guess, when I used to date when I was younger. And having those experiences and people just wanting to date me because I was Asian, and I found that really weird. And I went out with one of them, and I was like, nope, not doing this again.
Yeah,
because it's weird. He's like, oh, like, look at this Japanese magazine. Can you cut your hair like this? Can you wear color contacts like this?
Gross.
And I'm like, first of all, I'm fucking Filipino, and I'm tan as hell. Like, yeah, I'm not gonna look Japanese or be Japanese ever. And I'm not submissive like that, as what they like stereotypically think, right? So they have all these. Typically it's white males that have this stereotype about what Asian women should behave and present themselves as, which I think yeah. Do you want to speak on that? You're like laughing.
Oh god, yeah, actually I used to do this thing. It was like a boundary thing. The first question people ask me usually is like, where are you from? No, where are you from?
Where are you really from?
Or like, what's your ethnicity? Or what's your nationality? Which is not the same thing.
Yeah.
But I know what they mean.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm Canadian.
So usually I'm just like, I'm from Victoria, babe. What about you? But they were like, no, what's your background? And I used to be like, I will tell you if you go for a dance. Or sometimes I'm like, oh, guess. Ha, ha, ha. But it's not comfortable.
No, I don't like that.
Sometimes, lately, I've just been telling people, like, okay, I'm Filipino, because I'd rather just say it, because people get apprehensive if you're like, I don't feel comfortable talking about it. They feel very entitled to that information.
Yeah, entitled to that information. That's really interesting you said that. Why must you know where I'm from? Why must you know what my background is? What does that do for you? Like, and some people are just curious, because you look different, but it's just like, why do you want to know this? And I know, like, a lot of mixed race people get this a lot. What are you? And it's such an invasive question.
It is really invasive, and it's weird for me because, I don't know, like, I was born and raised in Victoria, like, in Canada, and I'm very proud to be Filipino. Like, I'm proud of my heritage and my background and my family and my culture, but I don't consider myself to be like a traditional Filipino woman.
Me too.
I'm super whitewashed. I don't speak Tagalog. I don't know how to cook Filipino food. I wish I did, but like, I just don't. That's just not how I was raised. I feel like people have this idea. They're like, oh, Filipino. Who's Filipino? Nurses, caregivers.
Yeah.
Cooks, like, always trying to feed you,
yeah.
You know, like, loving aunties and stuff.
Yeah,
and, like,
good at cleaning, caretakers, you know, foreign workers, maids, like, all this shit, right?
And that's, like, not me at all. Like, I barely even cook for myself. Like, I'm just, like, even if you know what my background is, you don't know me. And you just now, and then what? Now you're gonna have all these preconceptions of like what I'm like. Like this guy was working one day. He's like, "Yo, what's your background?" I was like, "Oh, I'm Filipino." And he's like, "What? You gonna cook me some curry?"
What
And I was just like, "We don't even fucking cook curry. Like it's not really a Filipino thing."
Oh my god, what a fucking goof.
He was just being stupid, but
wow. Oh god.
or you get the whole, maybe you've experienced like this, like, "Oh my god, I have an ex-girlfriend, she's from the Philippines, and she was just the best. Like, Filipino women are just, they're so nice, but they're crazy, oh my god."
Oh my god, I've had that conversation. Like, literally have had that multiple times, and it's freaky. Or I have a friend, or my friend's wife is Filipina, and blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't fucking care. Like, what does this have anything to do with me except for we share the same race? To me, it's just a pointless conversation. For some people, maybe it's a conversation starter. I think it's a conversation killer, but it's opposite to me.
You know, it's like, what are you?
Yeah, I just think I don't like that question at all.
I don't mind it if maybe we're talking and then they ask it like in the middle of the conversation, but I just, when people, it's like the first, like I'm walking around, they're like, "Oh my god, what are you?" I'm just like, "Yo, you're buying a dance?" Like,
then I'll tell you.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't really think that's, I don't know if I'll continue doing that because on the end, I just want to make money. So maybe I need to capitalize on all that shit, you know? Like,
yeah, you could work that angle. I mean, you can work, but I think for me, I was too feisty to be like, "What do you want? What do you want to know? Like, and why?" It's just, to me, it's annoying, which I don't like, so. But, on that topic, have you ever had experiences where you felt you were targeted because of your race?
targeted? Like, in what sense?
Targeted in terms of, it's either racism, in either, it doesn't have to be within the stripping community, but in regular everyday life. Have you ever experienced that here in Vancouver? People say that racism is alive. It definitely is alive, guys. It still is alive and kicking. So, have you ever had any experiences like that in Vancouver? Oh, shit.
Okay, I feel like in the stripping industry, it's more like looking around me, seeing what the lineup is, and then like feeling out of place, especially in certain communities.
Right.
Especially in certain cities that are like, you know, like we live in Vancouver now. This is Vancouver Central. It's like maybe a bit more diverse of a community.
Right.
But when you travel, I don't even want to like name towns or anything.
Yeah, but you're on the circuit, so
I was on the circuit, and
right? So
let's just say like I do better in certain places than others, and I see girls doing better like maybe when they're playing like rock music or have like their country, you know, little outfit on, or you know, people who aren't necessarily better dancers or better looking doing better. And I'm like, I'm not gonna, like, I feel like I would get a lot of flack for like saying this. Like, I'm not saying that like people of color can't make money, but like, you know, sometimes there's a reason why, you know, other people are doing better than you. And especially when it like it happens in certain towns where you don't make as much money. You're just like, okay. And I didn't really understand that until I talked to this guy I was dating at the time. He asked me, he's like, well, I'm just like, man, like I feel like I'm like, see all these people making money, and I'm just like, what the fuck's wrong with me? And he's like, what do they look like? I'm like, I don't know, like they're not any prettier than I am. He's like, no, I mean, are they white? I was like, what? You're really gonna take it there? But he was a person of color, and like, you know, it's just like I didn't really think about it, and I'm like, okay. On the same token, sometimes it works to my advantage.
Yeah, I was gonna say, sometimes it definitely works to my advantage, because I know there's a regular at Penthouse that Ian Angelique, he loves getting danced from us, because I think it's because we're Filipino.
Yeah.
You might even know who he is. But it can definitely work to our advantage too, like we have that edge too, but it doesn't work all the time for everybody, right? So it's a weird, like, double-edged sword. It's super bizarre.
I don't really play up my Filipino-ness. I don't really think I look super Filipino. Like, I have, like, short hair and, like, I don't know, like, I have my lips done. Like, I just feel like I look kind of different. Like, some people have been like, oh, I feel like you look white. And I'm just like, okay. But, whatever. But yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. Like, I wish that clubs would have more diversity.
But do you think it's the clubs? I don't think it's mainly the clubs that control the girls, but maybe it's just a lack of minorities getting involved in the stripper industry, or even in just the sex industry in general. We seem to be like kind of underrepresented.
Maybe. I mean, I don't really know the ratio, but like the thing is, if you want to have diversity, you've got to kind of seek it out, because maybe like there's a reason if we're not seeing, you know, a lot of Asian dancers, like we need to start promoting more. Right. We need to encourage it, because there are a lot of barriers that prevent people of color from doing certain things and going after certain opportunities. It's not like a localized, like small issue that just has to do with like this one sector of exotic dancing. It's a widespread phenomenon that like goes across society.
Yeah.
I don't know, like diversity is important. I think that productions, establishments, agencies could all benefit from having more diversity, and I think that we could all make a little bit more effort to include certain groups. That's a movement that's kind of starting right now, working and, you know, following a lot of people in the burlesque community in Vancouver. It's really great because they are starting to include more groups. They're like, okay, we want more people of color, we want more Black and Indigenous people of color, we want more, you know, LGBTQ plus, etc. They still have issues with racism and stuff like that. I'm sure you can read all about it, but I see people starting to take steps in the right direction for visibility. I don't know about the strip club industry.
I don't know about the strip club industry, but speaking on a broader scale, there's a lot more representation now for Asian like actors, you know,
totally
modeling. Like there's just a lot more of those faces that I can now relate to. Because when I was growing up, I didn't have any role models because I didn't know any Asian celebrities except for like Lucy Liu.
Love her.
Yeah, she's great, but she's also pretty white for Chinese. But like it was really rare to see those faces and to like have a connection that way. So I think, you know, with Crazy Rich Asians coming out, and there's like a bunch of different shows on Netflix now that have a lot of more Asian and ethnic minority groups that are on the forefront. I think that's really great in terms of like making strides.
I think I've noticed.
I think the world and society is slowly changing. I think we're super behind. But, you know, people in Hollywood are getting called out for, you know, not giving out roles to actually ethnic, like for roles that are supposed to be ethnic, to not give them out to actually ethnic people.
Yeah, there's a lot of that, and it's become a lot more of a topic of conversation. But you're totally right about there is slowly starting to become more like representation in the mainstream media.
Yeah.
And that's awesome to see. There are a lot of like cool people doing cool things, and there are a lot of producers like even here in Vancouver that are starting to think about that more, and that's really great.
Step in the right direction. On the last couple things I want to talk to you about as well, I know I should probably loop this in earlier, but my itinerary is all screwed
It's
up.
all good.
This has nothing to do with like this.
It's all good. Switch topics now.
Yeah, so we were talking about off the record in terms of like photographers and boundaries and, you know, like being a model or being an exotic dancer in this community. You need promo material, you want to put stuff on your Instagram, you need photos, you need videos, stuff for your OnlyFans and stuff. And a lot of the times we'll do modeling gigs and TFP and just like a lot of collaborations, right? So we were talking about earlier about a photographer that we both worked with before that kind of crossed the line. Didn't kind of cross the line. He fucking crossed the line.
Yeah.
It was like disgusting. Did you want to go into that story? You don't have to name any names, but if you wanted to just give a story in a nutshell or any other experiences that you had.
Yeah. Oh, it's funny. I was just talking to my friend about like photographers. I used to do lots of like Testberg prints, collaborations. I don't do as many anymore because I've had a few bad experiences and I don't super want to get into detail. Like, it's kind of traumatic, but let's just say when I was, you know, a few years ago or like whenever it happened, like I was a bit more naive and I just kind of let people cross my boundaries because, you know, we were talking about earlier about like that people-pleasing nature.
Yeah.
But also it's deeper than that. It's like if you're a model and you're like trying to keep the peace, trying to make things work, trying to have like a good connection.
Yeah.
It's easy for like someone who's like, oh yeah, I'm a photographer, I have years of experience, blah blah blah, you should do this, you should like let me touch you, or like, well, you do things you're not comfortable with, or like strip down naked even though we haven't talked about it.
Yeah.
It's like, that's kind of taking advantage of the situation for ulterior motives, and it's not good. There's also other things that can happen with photographers too, like maybe that you shoot with someone. I worked with another photographer and we shot together, it was fine, the images were nice, and then he started just like messaging me on my phone, messaging me on my Instagram, email, like etc., just like random life stuff, and I'm just like, that's not really professional. No. Like, it's not like you don't get access to my personal life just because we shoot together. Yeah. So there's just like a lot of wolf in sheep's clothing out there when it comes to photography. I would say, like, if you need photos, find...
How do you gauge? Because there's so many everyone's a fucking photographer in Vancouver. Everyone's
I know.
You know? And there's nothing wrong. You know, people have to like get their portfolio. They got to start somewhere and stuff like that. And sometimes you don't want to pay to get your photos professionally done and whatnot. I get it. I've done those things before too. But it can be potentially dangerous because you are vulnerable, especially when you're doing like boudoir, you're doing implied, you're doing some nude shoots and stuff, and you're there alone with a man with a camera, and it can be an uncomfortable situation.
Yeah, because it's like, how are you don't have anyone to back you up, like, you don't know what's acceptable in this situation. There's like lines crossed, like it's kind of an intimate setting.
Totally intimate setting.
I would say get references. Mm-hmm. You know, talk to other women, see like, okay, like I like these photos that you did with this photographer, how was your experience shooting with them? Also look for like, maybe you want to pay for photos.
Yeah.
You know, like it's
legitimate,
it's worth it.
Yeah.
If you know that there's like a reputable photographer that you want to shoot with and you need promo. Like, I had a great experience shooting with Petrovsky for my promo photos. Like, it was amazing. It was really awesome, and I know that he's shot with like advertising but like, no, I know he's shot with Luna, I know he's shot with like lots of women, and they've all said like, oh yeah, he will make you feel comfortable, and I felt comfortable.
Right, as you should.
And if you don't feel comfortable, I would just say don't be afraid to walk out, because it's your time and it's your body. And I think that's what happened in the past before, when with that guy we were talking about. I did not feel comfortable, but I just felt like scared to speak up, scared to cause tension and conflict, and I felt like maybe I'm being unreasonable. You know, I'm not comfortable, but maybe I just need to lighten up. I would just say trust yourself.
And trust your gut, guys, too, because a lot of predators out there, so I want you guys to be careful. There's a lot of fake photographers out there, a lot of amateur photographers, too. Like, look for ones that actually have a freaking website, at least. Like, there's just a lot of people that just, oh, my portfolio is my Instagram, and that's cool too, but I find some of those works to be very amateur. So, anyways, what can we expect from you in the future as Naomi Vice?
Oh my god! Okay.
You're basically lit up.
I know, why I'm so excited, but I just don't know the answer, but I'm...
That's a good sign, though. I think it's a great sign.
Okay, well, I'm going on tour. I'm going to Calgary next week. Mm-hmm. Super last minute book. I'm super excited. I'm going to be making more bookings on the circuit. I'm going to be doing some Pilates classes.
Oh, cool.
In Vancouver. I'm renting a studio right now. My goal, long-term goal, I want to set up my own studio and do like singing lessons out of there.
Cool. Oh my god, there's so many things happening.
There's a lot of things I want to do. I want to just make content for like my social media. I want to make some dance videos. I want to keep training my dancing and sharing that on the Instagram. On the Instagram, I want to make some music videos and share my singing on Instagram too. And eventually, I want to conceptualize and choreograph some new shows.
Oh my gosh, there's so many good things. I'm so excited for you. Yay.
I'm excited for me too.
Yay.
That didn't sound very excited, but I don't know, I'm just ready. I don't really even know, like, everything that I'm gonna be doing, but I just want to be, like, continuing my singing, my dancing, and my acting, and I'll be posting some acting stuff on my Instagram, and just, like, my journey that I'm going through, like, professionally.
Totally. I'm sure people would definitely love to hear that. We'll plug your Instagram and everything at the end of the show. But I guess for now, we'll go into some Q&A. There's a few questions here.
Okay.
We have Naomi is awesome. Got to shoot with her once. What's her next big goal for 2020? I guess you spoke on that a little bit. Were there any other things that you missed?
Do all the things.
Do all the things. Stay happy. Stay healthy.
Okay, yeah, maybe, I don't know. I just want my whole thing, like all the content I put out to be like not just stripping. Like I want to be like well-rounded with all the different stuff that I'm doing. I did kind of like say it, but that's kind of my goal for 2020 is to just like map out who I am, what I'm about, what I'm doing, and just do it in my own unique way.
Yeah, and have that like holistic kind of approach to it.
Yeah.
Really cohesive. Yeah, because they're all related. So it's amazing. So exciting. Are you happy that you made one final appearance at the Fox? I guess before it closed down.
Yeah, I am. Oh my goodness.
I know, everyone's so sad at the Fox closing down.
I mean, yeah, the Fox was the first strip club that I danced at, that I did like a full week at. And I'm from Victoria.
Yeah, right.
So I've had like a lot of good times there. It's just hard. Like transitions have to be made in this industry, and that's just part of it. So I accept it, but I'm glad that I got to dance there and I had a good time.
Yeah. What are the most valuable lessons you learned as a stripper?
Assert your own boundaries. Assert your boundaries, assert your boundaries, assert your boundaries.
The most valuable lesson there, guys.
Oh my gosh, assert your boundaries. Assert your boundaries when it comes to, you know, physical and intimate contact with time. Assert your time boundaries. Assert your financial boundaries. Get paid what you're worth. You know, assert your emotional boundaries too. Don't let people drain you of your energy. If you're not comfortable talking about something, or, you know, listening to somebody like talk about their problems for a long time, like make sure you're either getting compensated well or you just stop it. Yeah. And if you're not comfortable, it's never really worth it to accept it, to cross your own boundary. You don't need that money.
No.
Like, maybe you do. I can't say that because, like, it's capitalism. Like, in the end, we all gotta make choices. But if you can afford it, just try to stick to your guns and like, if you can afford to, if you have the privilege to, don't compromise.
Great advice. Oh my god. Super great advice. And lastly, how does Naomi start her day? Journaling or coffee?
Journaling or coffee? Both. I'm trying to quit coffee, but it's so hard because I'm addicted. But yeah, I do. I don't know how. I don't know who you are, but you just know that I'm a journaler. Journaling has like really helped me with like this transition that I've been making in my life, and just like getting out all my feelings and stuff. So that's what I do. Journal, coffee and breakfast, and then maybe I'll head to the gym, or maybe I'll do guitar, depending on like if I worked out the day before, or like what my plan is.
Good question, whoever sent that in.
Yeah.
And I guess that brings us to the end. So where can we find you? Use this as a marketing platform. Plug in all your handles, your Instagram,
oh my god,
everything.
I'm still growing, but you can find me on Instagram at Naomi Vice. I'm sure there will be like a visual like text thing posted somewhere.
Yes, there will be.
So yeah, and then you know, I'll be around. You'll see me, don't worry.
She'll be around. Get ready for a big comeback, guys.
Yeah.
So excited to have her back on the circuit and on the strip and everything. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Such a fun episode. It's so nice to meet you in person.
I know, I feel really great. So thanks for having me. It's been super fun.
Welcome. And that wraps things up for this week. This week's episode of Strip by Sia. Don't forget to like, rate, subscribe, follow, all things. And find me on Instagram, Strip by Sia, or my personal, Sia Stuff. And we'll catch you guys again for another cool fucking episode next week. Okay, I'm out of here. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.